crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
This is Discover Crypto. I'm your host, DZ. Smash those likes because we got to talk about Bitcoin. Is the bear market here? We're going to talk about the odds that it being true. Also, Cardano just had a disastrous DeFi moment over the weekend. We have to cover that news as well. And we got to talk about Arthur Hayes just made a major position shift for his Ethereum bag. And this means something major for Ethereum. Is it going to be bad? Is it going to be good? I'm joined here by TJ. TJ, how are you doing today?
I am doing great, seeing all the comments rolling in. Shout out to everybody in the Disco fam. Excited to chat with you guys today and get everybody's thoughts and takes on what we are going to, what you should be expecting, what you're expecting, how you're positioning, what moves you're making. I am still a buyer at some of these levels, but I understand it's getting scary out there. We know, and we're going to look at here in just a second. We looked at that 50-day moving average. We've lost that. Yeah, Bitcoin, what are we sitting at right now? I mean, it was a violent, just this morning, it went from, I think 95 to start to 93, down back up to 95. It's been very volatile. So
yeah, this is the 5-minute candles that we're looking at here. I mean, you can see just a very, very quick amount of time. Losing $2,000 in less than an hour is not what you want to see in this market here. When we go to the 1 hour, you can see some very strong wicks, and they do say where it wicks, it will stick. So you might expect a little bit of more downside pressure. But then as we go to the 4-hour chart, you can start to see this bullish divergence still continuing to play out and playing out in a beautiful way. Now, remember, it might tap it 3, 4, 5 times before it does signal a reversal, but the reverse signs are here. But we are going to talk about indicators saying the bear market is here. So we do want to get your guys' input on, do you think the bear market? We're going to be running some odds and a little bit. Cowan's last video, pretty informative. Yeah, we're going to talk about I watched that this morning. We're going to pull up his post as well, and we're also going to pull up the charts. But first, let's look at the rest of the crypto market. Then we'll focus in on Bitcoin. As you see here, yeah, Bitcoin down about 1.5%, ETH down 1.3%. Everything in the red here out of the majors. And if you're looking for a bright some hopium, Uniswap still looking good for the day, good for the week here. And Athena bottomed out, had a very, very, it was like 23 cents at one point. I was almost open along, didn't quite get it in. Bitcoin Cash slightly in the green. Monero slightly in the green. And looking for the big losers here, Dump is now down almost 10%. ICP almost 10%. And Zcash and Near also all down almost 10% here. Now, TJ and chat, let me ask you a quick question. If you had to buy one of these 4 coins, Pump.Fun, ICP, Zcash, or Near, which one do you think is the better value that's on sale?
Yeah, time frame always matters, but to me, of those coins, the only one I'm really actively looking at or considering right now would be Near. That would be the one I would buy. I mean, I know you're paying a Zcash. A lot of people are a fan of Zcash. I'm not against it, but if I had to choose between Zcash and Near today, I'm choosing Near.
All right, so we got someone that is
intertwined, by the way.
Counter trading DZ. So I was long Zcash. So if you're short Zcash, you're wrecked. And maybe you opened it 24 hours ago. I would be careful shorting this one. There's a lot of big whales with big pockets talking about that crypto. Let's, you brought up the Ben Cowan post, chat. Let's go ahead and roll right into it. If Bitcoin closes below the 50-week simple moving average today, then the odds of the top being go up considerably, 67%. So he wrote this yesterday. So 60%, 70%, that was the top. 126 was the top. I want to ask you, TJ, what odds are you assigning Bitcoin? The top was in. I'll go ahead and share mine. I don't know if I reached 70%. I think 126 was the top. I am probably slightly above 50, though. Maybe 50-50.
Yeah, and this is everybody loves top calls and all that sort of stuff. Top for this year, is that what he's saying, or top forever?
Say at least, let's just say at least the next 12 months.
Do I think that was the top for the next 12 months? No, I don't. Do I think it was the top for this year? Possibly. But the real question is, do you think they're going to stop printing dollars?
No, they're not going to stop printing dollars.
Yeah. Do you think they're going to print a lot of dollars in the next 12 months?
It does seem to be a lot of indications the money printers are going to go crazy with our excessive borrowing.
And so to me, that's generally how I make my determinations of like, okay, do I think that it sounds cliche, but it's very true. The whole Bitcoin has no top because fiat has no bottom. I mean, we're seeing Japan just going crazy with the printer right now. Many other countries look like they're going to be doing the same. And yeah, I think, and people say top for this cycle. And again, that the word cycle has been very much hotly contested and debated of what we're going through. And I mean, I think you and Kelly both, if you guys didn't see DZ's video over the weekend, I thought that was a pretty good video breaking down, traditionally the United States had been refinancing their debt on like a 4-year time basis. So just to put it in kind of easy to understand, US is on an adjustable rate mortgage, and every 4 years when it gets to be where we can't make our payments anymore, we'd like, oh, actually we're going to do a refi. And then we would refi, use all that money. We take a cash out refi. Like, hey, we got new money again. Let's go buy stuff. Let's go invest over here. Print, do this, do that. And all this money's flowing. And we're out of money again. Time to refinance again and pull more equity out. That's kind of like what the U.S. has been doing with our GDP for a very, very, very long time. So this last time that we did that, instead of refining on a 4-year time basis, they refied on a 5-year time basis, which obviously right now we're coming up towards the end of that. We were in this situation in 2019. We're coming to the end of that right now in 2025. I think it was December 2019 is when they did a lot of this refi stuff before. Now we're coming up to that refi point now. And so when that refinance is done, then we got new cash again, money flows in. So I believe 2026, and I'm starting to get more and more convinced, and I know you guys are going to hate this. I can see the salty comments on the videos. Everybody's bearish right now. Everybody is certain that 2026.
Well, not to cut you off, but these are comments right next to each other. I don't think there will be another alt season. And then we have the very next comment. No, alt season begins Q2 26.
Yeah, exactly. There's tons and tons and tons of Kelly did a video over the weekend that kind of outlined why it could be a little bit dicey for the next couple months. Like, we're not out of the woods yet in this market. And that's why, we'll look at some levels. We are getting very close to some of these CME gap levels, but I'm not ruling out going lower, even into the 80s or lower in the short term. However, I believe 2026 will be exceptionally bullish. 2026, I believe, will be the year that what most people expected to come out of 2025, I think is going to come out of 2026. That's just my personal opinion. Do I know that for certain? No, I don't. Nobody knows for certain what the market's going to do. All I know is what I'm doing and looking at all these macros. So I'm going to share with you guys where I put my money. Somebody said, oh, didn't you just buy a bunch? And I did. And I told you I'm going to buy at these levels. I'm also a buyer at the 80s. I might, if it's 85, I might wait to see if we can get down to like a 79 type range. I'll buy there. I'll buy in the 60s. I see this too. I'm not a top. Like, this is what's so funny to me is I bought a lot at 74K when everything was crashing not that long ago, and everybody was calling me an idiot. And I was screaming at everybody, buy under 80K, buy under 80K. That's when I was buying heavy. And I've been mostly Bitcoin this whole time. And now that we're on extreme fear again, it's pretty rare to have the fear and greed at 10 multiple days in a row. A lot of times that's marked very, very, very good times to accumulate. So that's where I'm accumulating. If it goes a little bit lower, I'll accumulate a little bit more. I have not seen the euphoria to sell a lot of the altcoins yet that I was expecting. And I do believe we will see that in 2026. So that's my general consensus. Is that January? Is it February? Is it March? I don't know. I think we're going to start to see it early in 26. You got Scott Bessett was out there, I think, over the weekend talking about how great it's going to be early 2026. All the money printing that's coming in. There's a lot of factors, in my opinion, that make me believe we're going to have a very bullish market in 2026. However, there's just as many scary things happening out there in the world right now that could make it like, hey, if you're an investor, this is not an easy time to be an investor. I'll just say that. And so, this is what I'm doing. This is where we're at. And, that's my take. But I know everybody has different opinions.
All right. We do got a super chat asking about Wormhole. We will jump to that a little bit later. I do want to cover a lot of this Bitcoin news. Let's get back into this Ben Cowan post here. So a second weekly close below the 50-week simple moving average, he says, would make the case even stronger. So as of now, he's about 60, 70%. We are about to enter a bear market. But he does say, well, maybe he could roll that back a little bit. We just had a death cross. So if the cycle's not over, then it would be time for the bulls to show it. If we can get back above this simple moving average, then his odds are going back to where my odds are at currently, 50-50. I do think if we get a weekly close back above that simple moving average, I'm going to be going in, I think, maybe only a 33% chance that we're going to see a bear market. He says if the top is in, there should be one final rally to the 200-day simple moving average, which would form the macro lower high, which would still be several weeks away. He is essentially betting on a dead cat bounce. The dead cat bounce you see, now to go into a little of his analysis here, this is a 50-day moving average and a 200-day moving average. If you go back to the previous bull run of 2021, you'll see that we did come back to it. We come back to it. We retest it here. And so we lose it. We get below the 200-day. This is during the June-July dump. And then right here. So 200-day moving average. You get below it, come back, peak above it. But then we really, really lose it as support. And what do? We do go and do that little dead cat bounce. We do go back above it. And so if we reject sharply after passing the 200-day moving average, not just this, one little bounce, bull market's back on. That was one little bounce followed by a lot of doji reversal candles. Reversal candle 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. And then what do you know? We do end up reversing here. So he's saying, it could get a little bit bullish, but the bullishness is going to end very, very suddenly. And he's saying we might reject off of this blue line. So this is what we're looking at as far as the death cross. I'll probably put out a video tonight covering the death cross and look at previous death crosses. Let's go back to this simple moving average. Some I want to point out. So this is on the weekly. We lost the 50-week moving average. This is orange line right here. We were looking at dailies earlier. This is weekly. We are still, holding this trend line. This trend line caught the bottom there, caught the bottom here, caught the bottoms there, right to the wick, right here to the candle bodies. Still holding strong as far as this support line goes. So to me, just a little indicator, maybe that's why we're going to get a little bit of a bounce. So keep an eye out on these levels. Let's talk about some more bear market signals. I want to share some stuff with you guys. Number one, Bitcoin ETFs. Wall Street dumping the Bitcoin ETFs. We did have a little green day here, a little green day there, but then like their album, it was dookie. Okay. Then it started to fall. So the ETFs closed the third straight week in the red. We saw 1.1 billion in outflows during the past trading week. This is the fourth largest week of outflows on record. Now, this is where we're going to see a little bit of confluence. Last time we saw this was February. You can see it on this headline right here. So the biggest weekly outflow since February as we end up pulling that 1.12 billion total. So what week in February did the outflows reach its zenith, its highest level? Was this the beginning? Was this the end? So we can kind of do a little price action. Well, the zenith, the highest amount of selling happened the last week of February. The weeks preceding this high level of outflows were also in the red. So it was several weeks of red. It started February 10th. So we had a week of outflows, then the heavy week of outflows for the final week of February. And so if you look at what we're looking at here on the daily moving average, we have ETF outflows. We lose the 50-day moving average. We dip below the 200-day moving average, and then Wall Street just starts dumping the hell out of their ETFs. Let's go back to February 10th through February 28th. Is it a similar situation? What happened afterwards? Well, if you look at February, we lost the 50-day moving average. We then dipped below the 200-day moving average, and then February 28th, they started dumping the ETFs. So what do we end up doing after we lose this 200-day moving average? We dipped 13%. And then we saw a bounce. And we looked at where we're at right now. We dipped 13%. Now the bulls and the bears are asking, what is going to happen next? TJ, is 13%. Do we bounce from here? Yes or no, chat? I want to see a yes. I want to see a no. Do we bounce from here? What does your gut tell you?
Gut says no. Like just looking at the chart, like I'm buying here, but the gut, like looking at the chart, it just looks weak. It feels weak, but it does. Like that's compelling. It does feel like. Go ahead.
I was going to say out the gate 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 yeses in a row before MPJ Car Photography comes in and rains on the parade, pisses in their cereal.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it close to a bottom, but it's also feels weak. So it's like when you feel like it's going to go lower, oftentimes that does mark a bottom. And the fact that everybody thinks it's going lower, it definitely makes me bullish. It did fill the gap. I'm not a big technical person, so if you're talking on the short term, like will we bounce hard from here? The other thing that's interesting to me, I don't know if we've got anything on the Monad airdrop is live right now. It's launching on Coinbase. It's the first time we're doing a token launch, so it's kind of like ICOs coming back. There's a pretty it would not shock me at all to see that mark the bottom, and so this is compelling. This is a technical range that I know a lot of people were wanting to satisfy the swing lows and all that stuff for the chartist. I do feel like we're going to be rally from here. It's just the big question for me when I look at the macro stuff is, getting that market structure bill, getting the QT ending. That's why I'll look that up in just a minute, because everything that we're going through right now, to me, from a macro perspective, feels just like what was happening in 2019 and heading into 2020. And so if 2020 is a lot like if 2026 is like 2020, I think we have a very, very, very bullish period ahead. We just got to reclaim some of these other levels. So I guess you're talking the next week. Are we up from here in the next 7 days?
Yeah.
I'll say yes.
I'll say yes. Smash the like button if you're also bullish. Let's get those likes in. Let's really get ourselves into this YouTube algorithm. Really does help us out when you interact with the video there. Now, let's talk about some more bear market signals, okay? That's not it. There's a lot of signals out there saying it is over, that the music's about to stop playing. One of them, short-term holder Bitcoin supply deep in the loss. In fact, we haven't been this low as far as the paper hands, heavy in the red since FTX collapse here. Now, short-term holders, they have almost 3 million Bitcoin at loss. This is the worst we've seen since 2022. And a short-term holder is just people that have been holding Bitcoin for less than 155 days. Now, the FTX collapse in November 22, Bitcoin was trading at $15,000. This was the bottom. So this was a bottom signal. And now Glassnode data is showing the long-term holder supply. Long-term holders have shrunk 14.7 million to 14.3 million, losing about 450,000 Bitcoin. So that was the amount of Bitcoin there. Something also to think about, this was a reverse signal last time when you're talking about the short-term holders just deep, deep, deep in the red. Got a couple more. And then now maybe why the music is going to keep playing. Now, this is James Bull. I think you can kind of read his name and understand his bias. But he says there's only 2 indicators for the cycle to be over: the 50-week moving average and the end of the 4-year cycle time-wise. Here's some reasons why it's not over. One is the business cycle, not the 4-year cycle. S&P 500 pumps, gold pumps, M2 pumping. Death Cross have always doubled Bitcoin's price in the next 6 months following in this cycle. So a little clarifier there. None of the 20 top indicators on coin glasses hit. No euphoria. More rate cuts coming. Shutdown ended, which pumped Bitcoin last time. ETFs, retirement funds buying, altcoins oversold, fear index, extreme fear, always marks a bottom. So overall, 2 micro indicators speak for a top, but all the indicators speak against it. Now, this is a little bit hyperbolic language.
Yeah.
Still, it's directionally true.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of that stuff I agree. I wouldn't call those top 2 micro because they've been pretty consistent in the past. That was when he said
ultimate fail right there. Yeah, it's like the 2 major indicators.
2 major indicators, and the government shutdown isn't over. It's paused, so that's part of it. So, but again, that's kind of what I keep coming back to. On a macro fundamental level, it's exceptionally bullish. It has not translated into price. I mean, just the fact that at one point this week, and we might be sitting close to it right now, down for the year on Bitcoin. So this would be the first
I meant to
time,
actually pull up that yearly candle. I hadn't done it yet.
Yeah, this would be the first time ever that we would have, if we do end up down, that we would be in. Okay, and yeah, so we're right on it right now. So we normally,
it was red 30 minutes ago. Yeah,
all of Bitcoin's history has been green, 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 red, green, 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 red, and that's where that 4-year cycle psychology comes from. So this would be the first year that it was we weren't red or we weren't green, and then obviously next year was supposed to be red. That's why everybody's predicting this. Is INJ still holding me? I think I do still have a tiny bit of INJ, like a very small amount. It would be kind of like in my other, like if I take. So I still like it. I'm not I don't have a strong conviction on it. I'm not heavy in it. The main ones I have big conviction on are the ones that I see are kind of the infrastructure that we're heading into, which would be Chainlink, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Chainlink, Aave. You guys know I love Aerodrome, and then things that relate to DeFi. So Injective, I think, has a very good narrative and tech as we move more towards tokenization of everything. But
historically,
I have a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't sell it here. Just from a TA perspective, they turn this resistance into support, Maybe it's going to continue to be support. The trend is your friend, and the trend is that is a level of support. So just something to keep an eye out on. Now, another little indicator for reverse MVRV, market value to realized value. It's hitting a level that typically does give us a little bit of a reversal signal, at least during this cycle. I don't want to say forever, but if you go back to since 2024, the beginning part of that, this has acted as just basically a good buy signal as well. Market value to realized value is just what they sold at relative to what they are being held at. Now, smallest dip, yet the panic is so much louder. I have a strong theory on this, TJ. I think it's due to what part of the cycle we're in.
Yeah, I think there's a handful of things that are that are contributing to this panic. I think the biggest issue, I think the biggest divide I see is people that are mostly Bitcoin versus mostly altcoins. And Bitcoin had a pretty strong year, and we tell you guys a lot on this channel, you need to be at least 50% Bitcoin. I don't know if I've ever gone below 70% Bitcoin. So that obviously will change my perception of the success of 2025 compared to altcoins. They're like, yeah, I still have a lot of altcoins, still a lot, probably more than I should. And they haven't performed the way I expected them to in this year.
He used to be 50% altcoins.
Yeah, exactly. Then the altcoins going down is part of what pushes it up. But I wanted to, on that note, I wanted to touch on this. The line keeps getting moved. It was November. It's going to be huge. October was going to be big. And again, we built this, and we're big believers in that 4-year cycle theory. We predicted October, November in 2022. We were allocating in 2022, and that was the sell and walk away. But 2025 did not see that happen for altcoins the way we have seen in the past. So yes, the line does change. The market is not static. It is not a system that you can follow forever without being dynamic. Like trading and investing is dynamic. And when new information comes in, sometimes the line's going to get moved. And so as we got more of this information, as we watched all the tariff stuff play out, all the renegotiation of the debt, the Fed's moves, all of that different stuff. I mean, the Fed had another emergency weekend, basically calling all the banks in, having a liquidity crisis. Like, they had a very hush-hush meeting. This is all happening right now, just like it was in 2019. That's what I keep coming back to. Like 2019, the same stuff was happening. Oh, there you go. Bitcoin 2019. Same stuff was happening. And so if you start to see all those things, you take that information in, and you guys can do whatever you want. If you want to sell everything and walk away right now, that's completely your choice. I would not recommend it. That is not what I'm doing. But I think the big part of the anger or the angst that's going on right now is a lot of people bought a lot of altcoins, and they were promised by a lot of people, me included, that November and October and November was going to be 2025 was going to be very bullish for altcoins, and they were going to get this huge payoff for their investment, and that did not happen. I will say I was wrong. We did not get a blow off top euphoric November alt season. We didn't get it in October. We didn't get it in November. I was wrong about that. So now what do you do? All right, you're sitting with altcoins. What do? Do you sell and walk away right here? Or do you keep investing? And that's where you have to decide what's important to you, how you move forward, because you're not going to be able to predict markets with 100% certainty. I know what I'm doing. I know what I believe. I know what I'm researching. And everything that I do, when I do my research, when I look at my experience, when I talk to other people in this market that have more experience than I do, and way many millions more than I do, they're all buying here. Freaking Sailor just bought almost $1 billion right here.
Yeah.
BlackRock, Goldman Sachs, all of the biggest asset managers and allocators in the world are very strong conviction, and they're accumulating these levels. They are not selling these levels. And so
if you are going to walk away, TJ has one piece of advice for you. walk hard. You better walk hard.
You better walk hard. Walk hard, dude. Cox.
Great movie. Great movie. Now let's talk about something that I kind of touched on briefly during the weekend video. This is from Saturday's upload where we talk about, is the business cycle stupid? Is the business cycle one of the main indicators for tech dev, for Raoul Pal, for a lot of people that look at business cycles? A main indicator for that is the copper gold ratio. And I just want to show you, I'm not going to read this whole post here, but it's just why we're nowhere like 2021. Bitcoin and the rest of the market are liquidity vessels. Their cycles are not dependent on an arbitrary four-year number. I wouldn't say arbitrary, it's the mining cycle rewards, but they are dependent on liquidity and business cycles, which are totally different this time. And you can see it on the copper gold chart. I won't talk about this since we talked about it in Saturday's upload, but the copper gold chart, zooming in on this one, this is very, very interesting. We have a very strong trend line that is going back 12 years. So a 12-year trend line. And when copper, he goes into a little bit detail, but copper means you're building. Gold means you've quit building and you're hoarding. And so that's why it kind of fluctuates with the business cycle. Copper's hitting a historically oversold ratio relative to gold. You can see it right here. This is the first bull run, or the 2017 bull run, coincided perfectly. 2021 bull run, the copper gold ratio coincided perfectly. And now we have the copper gold ratio hitting this 12-year trend line. So, this is maybe one of the reasons TJ's smart, rich friends saying it is going to be different this time, folks. It is going to be different.
Well, yeah. And if I don't remember, somebody posted this. I don't remember who it is, but none of the smart institutional money has any worry or care about a 4-year cycle. Nobody at Goldman Sachs is saying like, oh, do you guys know we're at the end of the 4-year cycle? We're supposed to, next year is supposed to be a bear market. Like nobody's doing that. Nobody's saying that. Nobody's thinking that way. They're just looking at, oh, regulation is coming in. Oh, like they changed the accounting laws so banks can all get into crypto. Oh, the entire stock market is going on chain. Oh, the entire currency of the US dollar is being shipped to the entire world using stable coins. Like that's directionally bullish.
Yep.
We're going to position ourselves to buy that infrastructure. And so, to me, my conviction keeps going up. And I actually wanted to, I don't know if we didn't pull this for the rundown. I wanted to play this video.
I got it towards the end. Well, actually go ahead and play it there if you have it on the window and everything.
Yeah, I've got it here. I think we need a lot more of this type of energy around here. This is what I was feeling this weekend, just seeing people crying on the timeline. And it's not meant to be like, if you're down bad and you needed this money and you're hurting, like I'm not trying to be insensitive, but I do believe this wholeheartedly.
Crypto is the opt-out.
Right?
Crypto is the exit. Crypto is the solution. And so, yes, the markets go up and yes, the markets go down. But there's some directionality to that. The long term, we win. There's 550 million people in the cryptocurrency ecosystem, and there's going to be 1 billion by 2030. 1 billion. The majority of the world's stocks and bonds and equities will be in the cryptocurrency space by 2030. And all of y'all paper hands are just running around. Be like, oh no, the markets are falling, the markets are falling. What do I do? What did I do? We all headed for 10 trillion, guys, because trillion doesn't even mean anything anymore. The dollar doesn't mean anything anymore. Everything ought to be priced in crypto.
I love that closing line. We're heading to 10 trillion, guys, because 10 trillion doesn't mean anything anymore. And that is why we're here. And that, I think, like I love Charles. He's hilarious. I hope to have him on the show again soon. I know he's ready to do the rounds on midnight. Would love to talk with him about that. But I do believe that. And I saw somebody, where did I start it? Say, and I agree, DCA and Prey, I know you and I do not always agree, but I appreciate your feedback in the chat. It says smart money can hold longer than you. Not that they're smarter, but they can afford to hold through a 50% dip. It doesn't affect them. And that's largely true. I've said before, the main difference between smart money and dumb money is patience. Smart money is patient, and dumb money needs it now. We can't wait next year. We can't wait another 2 years. And that's how the rich get richer and poor don't ever make it out. So
Mhm.
if you can, getting to a place where you can afford patience is very important. Having good cash flow is extremely important. You want to have, if we are going into, because if you think we're going into a bear market, you think it's recession time, they're not going to refinance, no new money's coming in, total collapse of basically the entire world economy. You better have, your food stuff figured out, your water supply figured out, and some good cash flow to be buying this pain, because it's going to get ugly. And you need to be in that position to be prepared. So,
All right, we got a $5 super chat I want to read here. Thanks for being consistent despite the negativity. Alts underperform. If no alt season, you still holding your Cardano, your Arrow until next cycle. If there is no alt season and they just continue to bleed, I mean, now is not the time to sell ADA. Max Fear. Max Fear is not when you want to sell an asset. If it does look like, oh my God, it is over. Sure, maybe some portion of that, but at that point, I am DCAing until I get new information. I would be adding to those bags, not decreasing them. Now, I do have some pretty interesting information regarding stable coins. This is. Oh, go
I'll
ahead.
just real quick on Arrow. I'll say Arrow, I'm making a ton of money on Arrow regardless if it goes up and down. Like, that's the beauty of DeFi, is you make money with the fees, you make money with the spreads and liquidity. So Arrow has been obviously one of our best performers. We're still way up from where we first got our entry, and we've got locks that print stuff so I'm using Arrow to create that cash flow that allows me to continue to buy the dip. So
yeah, I'm gonna talk about Worm. Don't you worry. Still got some Bitcoin news to cover. Stable coin. This is about the stable coin supply ratios. This is like the ratio of stable coins relative to Bitcoin. You can see it's hitting a very, very important level. Someone else is also, pointing out, when you look at USDT plus USDC dominance, it has a blow off top, and this blow off top gives you very, very good entries for Bitcoin. When you look at the top of dominance, these are the Bitcoin entries, and then you can look where we're at right now. Very, very well could be another potential entry point. On the stablecoin dominance chart, we're testing the same zone that rejected twice before, and both of those align with major Bitcoin pivots. First one, 50K to 108. Second one, 75K to 125. Now, dominance is tapping that zone again. Just something to put on your radar. We did mention MicroStrategy. They bought for them a very, very decent amount, nearly clipping $1 billion worth. They got 8,000 Bitcoin. They now are very, very close to 3% total. 3% total will be 660,000. They might get that within the next month, honestly. Very, very big milestone for them. Speaking of institutional money pouring into Bitcoin, Harvard, this is from Eric Balchunas, Harvard IBIT, BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF, is now Harvard's largest position, and its biggest position increase in the third quarter. Is super rare to get an endowment to buy it on the ETF, especially Harvard or Yale. They have a lot of cash on the sidelines, but it's as good as a validation as ETF can get. That's at $500 million. It's a mere 1% of their total endowment, but they're still 16th amongst all IBIT holders there. So very, very major move. They now hold more iShares than Microsoft or Amazon. And they also added to their gold. I want to show you that real quick. They doubled their gold holdings there. They had 333,000 shares. Now they have 660,000 shares. So Harvard is buying gold. They're buying Bitcoin. Harvard historically buys the bottom of Bitcoin. And so maybe Harvard is saying this is a local bottom. They have very smart Bitcoin purchases.
Absolutely. And you've also got, this stuff here with not just Harvard. Goldman Sachs is one of the largest Athena, this Ethereum ETF holders. Morgan Stanley buying Bitmine, Fidelity buying Bitmine. So you're just seeing it across the board. People buying treasury companies for people very heavy Ethereum, very heavy Bitcoin, big, smart, old money. They are not buying this for the short term, guys. They are not buying this and they're not expecting it to go down another 50% next year. They are the ones guiding the lawmaking, guiding the regulations, guiding the markets in general. And so if you can track along with them, or you can try to outsmart them, you can do whatever you want to do. I have very strong conviction 2026 will be bullish.
I didn't mean specifically only IBIT. They had spot Bitcoin well before the ETFs there. So that's when I talked about their Bitcoin purchases. Now you're talking about ETH. I have the ultimate reverse signal for Ethereum here. Arthur Hayes is getting ready to sell. He's about to sell millions in ETH. So why is that a reversal? Oh, because last time he sold, he's just not that good at trading Ethereum. Last time he sold was August 1st, right at the bottom. And you know what he did? He bought higher 9 days later. So don't be like Arthur Hayes. Now let's talk about Cardano. Saying Cardano broke a key support zone that's held since 2024. Big move coming up next. To be fair, these are 4-hour candles. We broke it late last week. Now, let's go to the daily so you can see it a little bit better there. Yeah, this is not what you want to see. This is losing a major support area. I did see a little bit of hopium for the Cardano holders. We are printing a fairly substantial bull div on the daily. I looked last time we had a bull div on the daily. I had to go back a decent amount, and it looked like it was about right here. And this is 2023. This is like kind of a bear market bottom. You see, we just keep pushing a little bit lower. Meanwhile, the RSI just going higher and going higher. Also, you could say from this dip to there, you could say, it extended from there to there. And that's pretty similar to what we're seeing right now. So should you sell your ADA? I would not sell it. You should sell it, when it's a little bit more euphoric. We should have been taking maybe a little bit more aggressive profits into this daily bearish divergence. Now it's going to be in August 25. So you want to sell when it looks like this. You don't want to sell when it looks like that. Cardano, though, major L. Maybe this is why we lost support, or maybe, kind of leading to that way. Cardano whale torched $6 million. Why? Because they used a stable coin with the illiquid pool. So they lost $6 million due to extreme slippage. 14 million ADA. It's close to about $7. $7 million. They got less than $1 million in a stable coin. They haven't moved any ADA since 2020. They reappeared on chain, and they swapped into a little-known Cardano native dollar stablecoin, USDA. And they ended up paying $8 per stablecoin at execution. Very disastrous price there. Wiped out $6 million in value instantly. And it's why large traders avoid illiquid pools and never route size through AMA without slippage checks. Now, the checks, there were signs, TJ. There were definitely signs. I have no clue why they missed all of these and managed to check the box. Maybe someone did the swap on purpose. This is an interesting theory. Seeing this, I got two theories. One, it's on purpose. Two, boomerize. And they literally just didn't see the small numbers there. So you see right here, you're paying 14 million. You're paying 7 million to receive $500,000. It was all right there. High price impact. Had to click the box. Insufficient. So what do you think? On purpose, bad eyesight. That's where I'm leaning.
Yeah, I don't know I doubt it's bad. I mean, I don't have the best eyesight, and I can't miss that high price impact. Like they do make that pretty substantial. It's pretty hard to do it without noticing it unless you're going fast. But why would you be going super fast with that level amount of money? So, yeah, who knows? Could be tax loss harvesting. I have no idea. I mean, that's definitely a major blow there.
Major blow. Now, Charles Hostin, he did have a post here. There were no warnings, but levity aside, it's an ecosystem-wide teachable moment and conversation about scaling up DeFi in 2026. The text there, we got to bring the capital and the integrations. If only they had $1.3 billion in a treasury. 1.3 billion. Sorry, 1.3 billion ADA. If only they had a mechanism there. So maybe this will light a fire under Charles's and IOHK, Emergo, IOG, rather Cardano Foundation. Light a fire under their ass, and then maybe actually do something with Cardano DeFi. And if they do, I will be on the forefront teaching you how to make money during that whole entire process.
Yeah, I agree. A couple super chats I wanted to hit. We missed this one earlier. Thoughts on Linnea, as Kelly says, at Lubin's project. I'm pretty sure Drew and Kelly, both fans of this one, maybe purchased this one. I think it's, Joseph Lubin's. Is it an L2? I don't know if it's an L2 or an L1. I don't know a ton about it. I do know, again, infrastructure is going to matter on Ethereum. Steve-O and I in the Discord were having a pretty good conversation about L1s versus L2s. By the way, if you guys aren't in the Discord, all those pro calls are starting tomorrow. And it's one of those, even if you just put 100, I don't want to make the claims, but they're very, very, very good calls. They've been very, very, very profitable. So there's going to start rolling in tomorrow into the Trading Signals channel. So if you guys aren't in there yet, get in there and get in on get on Blowfin, get ready to go. Then the last super chat here from David Bowerman. Where do you think the most realistic bottom for BTC before a reversal? Realistically, we could be close to that range here, 92, but you could go into the high 80s. I know a lot of people are looking at the like 87, 88K. There was a decent amount of volume there. So high 80s, you know, and basically I'd say 87 to 92 range is consistent with what a lot of the technical analysts are looking at. You start to lose some of those and you start getting back into where we were before, 78, 74, people eyeing 70K, which is back down to 70K. That's the full round trip of a bear market that's touching previous cycle all-time high. And you could say, hey, we had a bear market, time to rip again. And so even that scenario could play out. We could touch 70K by January and then just rip all of 2026. Like, so that's why you have to be dynamic and willing to update your thesis and adjust. So
all right, we got a couple more here that I want to read. It sounded like a boss must have been the tie. Hit the like button if you like the ties. We'll keep them going there. Keep up the good work. Target for hit for 95K. 50-week EMA doesn't close for 2 days. Oh, this might have been a previous week.
I'll say those are where are you even getting those?
Is this what October feels like? I did see that one. That one definitely from today. No, this is not what it feels like. Talk to us about Wormhole. I have a quick Wormhole breakdown for you here. Wormhole, I would not be bearish on Wormhole after this integration. This is only 3 days ago, and I'm going to show you the chart. BlackRock's Biddle Fund has officially launched on BNB chain. What is it powered by? Securitize, which you've covered a lot, and also Wormhole. So when you see these interesting VC, or I should say traditional banks doing these things with like tokenized treasuries or RWAs writ large, they're using Wormhole when they're interacting between different chains. So that's something I would not be bearish on. And looking at the weekly, just very, very strong support. Let's go back to the day. I mean, you can see this is, I mean, if you sell here, I just can't help but feel like you would probably regret it. Will it, potentially go down a little bit more? Sure. This looks like a very, very bearish chart. This is very, very bullish news. And I just don't see this not reversing at some point soon. That'd be my 2 cents there. All right. XRP holders. Oh, wait a minute. Most realistic bottom for Bitcoin. Okay.
Yeah. And then this guy did ask, what about Black Hole? I think it's pretty much been mostly down only. We're still running a full range pool. So it's just stacking up and stacking up.
It's the yields, man. They pay out too much in that damn token, so everybody's just dumping it.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the whole market as a whole, I mean, Avalanche and alts in general have all been just crushed. So I've still got the pool. It's still running. It's still adding tokens. So if things recover, it will actually be very profitable. But if they continue downward, obviously it'll stay that way. So
this real quick, XRP, smash the like button if you're an XRP holder. You want some good news here. I tried to replicate this with my stochastic monthly RSI. I was not able to in the amount of time I had. But Steph is crypto here. Monthly stochastic RSI just hit the same level that preceded past rallies. 1,700%, 500% rally is round 3 next. Now, I was trying to move my stochastic RSI around. I couldn't get it to replicate this. So I do want to give you that warning there. But 1,700 to 500, I would, suggest maybe like 125% pump there. It's kind of shrinking to a little bit less than a third there. So yeah, maybe 125% pump is kind of what this chart's calling for. Canton, very interesting. They might only get 5-7 transactions per second, yet they're doing trillions. They're doing billions in value per swap. So I just thought that was funny. This is the lesson. Tech doesn't win adoption. What wins adoption is going to be privacy, compliance, existing relationships, not some, incompetent management team that you see in crypto, not raw transactions per second or glorified PhDs. I think that is just a good feather in the cap to put in as far as a thinking model. Who Larry Fink is friends with is much more important than your favorite altcoins transactions per second.
Absolutely. And this ties in very closely with the conversation Steve and I were having with L2s versus L1s. Like who, Kraken and Coinbase, for people who don't understand, they have a very large strategic advantage. That's why Base is doing as well as it is because the relationships of Coinbase, like it just said, who they have relationships with, are they compliant, and do they have privacy? And those things are coming. But Chainlink, by the way, has privacy and interoperability for all chains. So that's coming to literally every single chain. And Ink, Kraken's layer 2, I think is going to be very interesting too. I think Ink and Base, those two layer 2s could start the layer 2 battle on Ethereum could start to be like what the layer 1 race was for the last decade up to this point. So, and it's because like who's custodying all those funds? Like who, Coinbase of the, I think it's 12 or 13 ETFs. Coinbase custody handles 11 of the 13 or something like that. And I think Fidelity handles 2 of them. It's close to that. Kraken, same thing. Huge accounts, huge custody, huge on-ramping. So big money is going to be flowing through the relationships of Coinbase and Kraken, especially in the US. So I expect their layer 2s to absolutely crush. And we are moving into that space where having, it matters more if the layer 2 is Visa, MasterCard, Coinbase, and Kraken, that's probably going to crush Supra, the latest new L1 with some hot bells and whistles from somebody who's not plugged into anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this is a perfect example of you don't need 1,000 transactions per second on every chain in order for it to be successful. Bitcoin is the number 1 protocol in the space and will always remain that way. Canton Network, 7 transactions per second, already has more product market fit than basically every other L1 out there. So,
all right. And I just want to end with, I know what you're going to have to talk about at Thanksgiving with those family members. They're going to want to poke a finger in your eye. And this is going to be the topic du jour for Normie Town. I waded into Normie Town today for just crypto news. Like what's trending on Google, what's trending on, the wires basically. And this story is getting a lot of traction. CZ's lawyer denying that Binance is at CZ. Basically the pardon was a pay to play. This is 60 Minutes clip from last night is starting to go a little bit viral. I haven't seen it on crypto Twitter just yet. Probably will. This is inundated the airwaves here when it comes to normal news. So a lot of Trump suspicious pardoning of CZ. You might have to defend Binance come Thanksgiving, man. It's going to be a tough one. You got to defend Trump on Thanksgiving. They're going to be like, what happened to your crypto president? Huh? How's your coins, Anon? And they're all going to laugh and giggle as they pass the gravy. I'm ready.
This was supposed to be our Thanksgiving where everybody thought we were all smart again, and now they're going to be back to like, oh, how's your Bitcoin thing doing? I see it's down for the last 60 days,
and they're compared to gold. Oh yeah, it looks like you should have just bought gold. Yeah, I guess if I bought January 1st, but how about literally almost every time in human history? It's been a better buy to buy Bitcoin, folks. So, all right, that is our show. Smash the like button. Let's really get those likes skyrocketing. It really does help us out in the algorithm. We're going to be reading the comments too. So if you come in a little bit late, we also appreciate that. And tonight's video, I will talk about the death cross. I think it's worth talking, well, every time this cycle, it's bounced. But what about at the end of a cycle? We need to look at that data. And so I will probably have to do a little postmortem on the death cross, and let's open that cadaver. What are we gonna find, TJ? What are we gonna find?
Yeah, and tomorrow we've got a video we're putting together that's going to be kind of outlining 2026 and what we could expect with the Fed's move, more of a macro type video to kind of back up a lot of my feelings with some of the data that we've been looking at. So that's coming. Stay tuned for that. If you guys didn't get a chance, watch DZ's video from Saturday and Kelly's video from Sunday. They were both very good and gave a lot of different levels to keep an eye on. So stay safe out there. We'll see you guys in the Discord. Please don't sell, but try your best to buy bottoms and sell tops instead of sell bottoms and buy tops. I know it's easier said than done, but to me, when prices are crashing like this, these are accumulation points, not selling points.
And so smash the like button to make Bitcoin do that, folks.
There you go. Hey, big green arrow. That makes it go up.
We just wanted to take a quick second to shout out our sponsor, Arculus. They are a cold storage hardware wallet, helps you secure all of your digital assets for the future. Just tap this thing to the back of your phone and boom, you're in. We wouldn't be able to do this without them, but also wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, the Disco fam. You've supported us a lot over the years. If you want to support the channel now, just use the code DC20. It gets you 20% off this card. It's the #1 way you can support this channel going forward. Thank you for your support. We'll see you at the top.